Does a non-binary person with kids go by mom, dad or other? My buddy calls theirs sibling and quad. I've seen some kids call theirs parent, but I've also seen some just go by mom that is non-binary. Because it just depends. Family to family. Even seems some straight cis men that have been suddenly widowed say that they're the baby's mom now. It really just depends. Also, we're get more woke as time goes on, so maybe these are bad examples. Who knows? They can call the parent bored and attention seeking and quad. It seems that once we climb Maslow's pyramid of needs in the West, we run out of challenges and feel the need to make up new ones. I don't want my kids to celebrate an imaginary struggle that requires zero effort from me. This energy would be better channeled into volunteering to help the ones who are still struggling. There are plenty of worthy causes to pick from. Depends on the person. Some people are okay with being mom/dad. Some people might use an alternative term like Ren, parent. Some people might have their kid call them a nickname or their first name. Or use something from a language that may have more neutral terms/terms that won't being recognized as gendered in their native language. And I'm sure there are other things people have come up with. There's not really any rules, you know? I'm non-binary and plan on having children. This is my personal preferences. For me, between mom or dad. Both is fine, but for some they may prefer one of these or neither. I would also be fine being called mommy or mama or daddy or dada. But the words mother and father specifically, however, does bother me because it feels as though it's strictly referring to a woman/man. Which I am neither. And both at the same time. Being non-binary is fun. They feel like the world, life smelled different 10 to 15 years ago? I live in a state where recreational marijuana is legalized. So yes, it does smell different outside than it did 15 years ago. I definitely feel like the smell of cooking oil outside of restaurants has changed in the last few years. Like they started using a different kind at some point during the pandemic. 10 to 15 years ago smelled fresher to me. Like freshly mowed grass. Or berries picked off a bush. Sometimes I catch a whiff on the air of what smells like the past. Like sunshine in winter. That kind of thing. It still smells polluted and smoggy in urban areas here. I'm laughing because it's crazy, but in all of my childhood memories, things smelled better. I never thought of that. But I will say I think fresh rain will always smell the same. The world has always smelled like manure and burnt plastic to me. Petrichor. The Earth's cleaning cycle. No. Global warming and pollution aren't real either. That smog's always been there. The rain's always been acidic. We're fine. Everything's fine. I feel like every year has a different smell and a different color/color pattern, if that makes sense. Yeah, for sure. I work in a public library and it smells like a cocktail of body odor and marijuana. Yeah. Life smelled better back then. It is normal. It is a sign that you are making progress in your life and that feeling will never go away. Focus on the present and the exciting future. If you think a lot about the past, you may start to miss it, and that is not a good thing. I'm anosmic. I just learned last week that not all flowers smell the same. I just put them into the category of sweet and quat. Now you come with this meta question of the world has a smell and it can change in quat. I don't recognize this reality anymore. What stopped you from killing yourself? Good question. First of all, the trauma it would put my family through is enough to stop those thoughts immediately. Secondly, if I were to suddenly die, my fat ass would not fit in any standard size coffin. And I'm not entirely thrilled at the idea of going in an IKEA special. Finally, most methods would involve some kind of mess that some poor bastard would have to clean up. And I'm not so selfish as to put someone else into inconvenience just because I wanted to end it. Same. The horror of spreading my pain to everyone I ever knew or has ever loved me was the most terrifying thing I've ever witnessed in my own mind and scared me straight off the path of self-destruction. If I can't value my own life for myself, I can value it for what it means to those who are in my life, and I will never allow myself to hurt them in such an unspeakable way. Nothing stopped me from killing myself. It was an attempt that failed, leaving me scared to try again. After having had therapy, I stopped that and was going to try again and again. Every year it's been like that. Dying is never easy. But it beats the current pain. What's currently stopping me is that I know it'll be painful, though I'm getting back to therapy soon, so I guess there's also the hope that I might someday function like other people. I was born wrong. In an unwelcoming world. Nothing did. A few years back, when I was at one of my lowest points, I downed handfuls of sleeping pills every night for a little over a week straight. On the worst night, I'd taken 77 in one sitting. It was the longest night of my life. I was drenched in sweat and unable to move anything but my eyes for 10 hours. And I think hallucinating a bit as well. Still got up and went to school the next day like nothing happened. I guess after that week, I decided it wasn't my time. Still here 5 years later. Is melted cheese on toast less healthy than normal cheese on bread? This is like how my father used to put his cigarettes in the freezer to neutralize the cancer in quat. That's actually a good question and may have a complicated answer, since there are quite a few ways to define healthier in quat. What happens during toasting is the Maillard reaction. https://n. Wikipedia. org/wiki/Maillard_reaction. Which is, kind of, when amino acids in portions bind with sugars in carbs and produce a vast array of flavor chemicals we find really tasty. I have no idea if / how much these reactions affect the calorie count of the food. And the heat may also break down various nutrients in the foods. So maybe a proper food scientist can answer these questions. Maybe ask in /r/ask science? A lot of people are acting like this is a dumb question, which kind of goes against what this sub is about. I think Op is asking this question because it tastes like it should be more caloric. Food can definitely change calories from being cooked. Bread and cheese would be such a small change that it makes no difference. Calories of a unit of measure of how much energy when burnt or destroyed, like fuel. If your toast was completely burnt, it would have less calories. A light toasting basically the same. Cheese that the oil was cooked out of it would have less calories. Slightly melted? Nah. It's mostly a taste thing because flavored is enhanced by the cooking method. If there is any change, it would be negligible, and when I say any, I am wondering if heat would cause water with trace elements of fat to evaporate in the cooking process, i.e., rendering out some of the fat as you see in when you pan fry bacon. Or mince. So, maybe. But negligible.